The galaxy had watched humanity for centuries. To the Council of Galactic Species, Earth was a chaotic, unpredictable anomaly. Their technology was crude by galactic standards, their military in disarray, and their politics unstable. But humanity had one trait that the other species couldn't overlook: their stubbornness. The Federation had debated for years whether to intervene, to eliminate the unpredictable factor that was Earth. The decision was made. Humanity, for all their potential, was a danger to the delicate balance of the galaxy. The message arrived on every communication channel in the world, as if the universe itself had spoken. A galactic council of powerful species, beings older than Earth itself, had decided. Humanity would be wiped out. No negotiation, no mercy. It was a declaration, a cold, unwavering promise. The message came through a hologram broadcast across every screen on Earth. A tall, silver-skinned alien with 4 eyes appeared, speaking in a language that rippled with a cold, commanding tone. Humanity is a danger to the galactic order. Your chaos and unpredictability cannot be allowed to threaten the peace that we have worked for millennia to establish. The galaxy has agreed. Your existence will be terminated. The war begins now. Across the globe, panic erupted. World leaders scrambled, trying to make sense of the words, struggling to comprehend what was happening. No one had expected this. No one had thought that the galaxy would take such a drastic step. Earth was defenseless. The alien ships were already entering orbit, vast structures of gleaming metal that blocked out the sun. The first wave of ships opened fire. Energy pulses ripped through major cities, their impact vaporizing entire blocks in an instant. Humanity had nothing to match the alien firepower. Their best weapons were like toys compared to the might of the galactic fleet. In mere moments, entire regions were leveled. Governments fell silent as leaders vanished from view, their attempts to mobilize forces utterly futile against the overwhelming alien power. Captain Elias Monroe watched the destruction unfold from his command center. He had seen chaos in many forms throughout his career as a military strategist. But this was different. The enemy was too advanced, too powerful. And yet, there was something in Monroe's eyes, a spark of defiance. He had seen humanity endure the impossible before. If there was any chance of survival, it lay in the hands of the people who refused to surrender. Monroe had been summoned to the emergency summit of world leaders as a last-ditch effort. He entered the room with a sense of purpose, though his mind was heavy with doubt. How could Earth possibly defend itself? The Council of Leaders had no idea how to handle the alien threat. But Monroe did. He had been preparing for this moment for years, studying every aspect of galactic warfare, analyzing every possible outcome. We may be outgunned, but we are not out of options, Monroe said, his voice firm, standing before the frightened faces of Earth's leaders. I will find a way to fight back. But we need to unite. We need to become more than just nations. We need to become one. They looked at him with a mixture of disbelief and desperation, but they had no other choice. Monroe knew that their unity was their only chance. As he walked out of the room, Monroe's mind raced. The Federation had underestimated humanity. They thought Earth was weak. But if there was one thing Monroe knew about humanity, it was this: when backed into a corner, humanity fought with everything it had. The galaxy had just declared war on the wrong species. The sound of distant explosions shook the walls of the command center. Captain Monroe's grip tightened around the armrest of his chair as he watched the city skyline of New York flicker and vanish in a burst of energy on the screens before him. It was like watching a nightmare unfold in real time. Cities across the world were being wiped out in seconds. The aliens were not interested in negotiation. They were here to erase humanity. The world had barely processed the declaration of war when the first wave hit. Massive alien ships hovered over Earth's major population centers, their sleek, metallic surfaces reflecting the sun's light like deathly mirrors. They were enormous, larger than any vessel humanity had ever built. Ships with weapons far beyond Earth's comprehension. The first strike came with a brilliant flash of light. Monroe's hands shook slightly as he dialed into the global emergency network. "This is Captain Elias Monroe. Earth's defenses are overwhelmed. We need all military units to retreat to safe zones immediately. I repeat, retreat. There's nothing we can do against their firepower." His voice was steady, but inside, every part of him screamed in frustration. How could they fight back when there was nothing to fight with? In moments, the devastation spread across the globe. Beijing, London, Sydney, Paris, all fell silent, their towering structures reduced to ash by energy blasts from the alien ships. The very air seemed to burn as the attacks continued, relentless and merciless. It wasn't war, it was slaughter. Humanity's military forces attempted counterattacks, but it was like throwing stones at a thunderstorm. Fighter jets and missiles launched into the sky, their explosive charges harmless against the energy shields of the alien ships. Every missile that flew met its end with a flash of light, disintegrating before it could even reach its target. Monroe watched as Earth's most advanced technology crumbled in an instant. The hope they had clung to for so long, an illusion of defense, was shattered. "This is impossible," Monroe muttered under his breath, barely able to believe what was happening. Earth was being wiped out, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. His mind raced, analyzing the enemy's every move, trying to understand how they fought. There was a pattern, something more than just sheer force. Then, something unexpected happened. Amid the chaos, a small group of resistance fighters, remnants of Earth's military, managed to down one of the smaller alien ships. A surprise strike. The craft, not as well protected as the larger ones, was hit by a missile that found a weak spot in its energy shield. It exploded in a ball of fire, crashing down in the middle of the Nevada desert. Monroe's eyes widened as he processed the implications. "There's a way in," he whispered. A small, insignificant victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. If one ship could be brought down, then it was possible to do it again. The aliens were not invulnerable. They were not all-powerful. The communication channels buzzed to life. Monroe's second-in-command, Lieutenant Sarah Chen, appeared on the screen, her face grim but determined. "Captain, we've received reports from several sectors. Some of the alien ships are more vulnerable than we thought. If we can target specific areas, we may be able to weaken them." Monroe nodded, the spark of hope reigniting. "We fight back. We find their weaknesses and exploit them. It's the only chance we've got." The battle was far from over, but humanity had shown its first sign of defiance. It was small, but it was enough. The aliens had underestimated the resilience of humans, and now they would see just how far humanity would go to survive. This continuation keeps up the pace, showing the overwhelming nature of the invasion, but also offering a glimmer of hope with the unexpected victory. Monroe's determination and the first signs of resistance signal that humanity will not go down easily, setting up future developments. The brief victory in Nevada, though small, ignited something within humanity. It was a crack in the seemingly impenetrable wall of alien power, and Captain Monroe knew it was their only chance. The resistance had just proven something critical. The aliens were not invincible. Humanity, for all its chaos and disarray, had a unique strength. They could adapt faster than any advanced civilization expected. While the alien fleets relied on calculated precision, humans were unpredictable, constantly evolving to meet new challenges. Monroe stood before his assembled team, a mix of military leaders and scientists, each representing the best of Earth's defense forces. "We have no time to waste. That ship we brought down, it's our key," Monroe said, his voice steady but urgent. "We need to reverse engineer everything we can. Find out how they operate, where their weaknesses are." The room was filled with tension, but there was something else now. Resolve. The human spirit, the very thing the aliens had underestimated, was rising. The scientists set to work immediately, and within hours, they had begun to crack the alien technology. One of the most surprising findings was the aliens' power source, an energy field unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, but surprisingly fragile in specific conditions. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, who had become Monroe's right hand during a crisis, approached with a report. "Captain, we've pinpointed a potential weakness. The power cores of their ships are protected by an energy shield. But if we target the outer layer with the right frequency, we might destabilize it enough to breach the shield. It won't be easy, but it's doable." Monroe's mind raced. He had a plan forming, one that could finally turn the tide. But the stakes were high. If they failed, they'd be wiped out completely. There could be no second chance. "We'll need to do this on a global scale," Monroe said. "We're going to need every nation working together. I don't care about borders right now. The only thing that matters is survival." The word spread quickly. The world, once fractured and divided, had no choice but to come together. The moment they set aside their differences and pooled their resources, the situation began to shift. Humanity had always fought among itself, but now there was no room for division. Every person, every nation, every resource was directed toward one goal: survival. The first successful strike came 2 days later. A small team of elite soldiers, using the newly developed targeting technology, attacked another alien ship in orbit over Brazil. The strike wasn't perfect. There were casualties, but the results were undeniable. The alien vessel fell from the sky, crashing into the Atlantic Ocean in a fiery blaze. The aliens had lost another ship. Monroe couldn't contain the rush of adrenaline as the news broke across the world. Humanity had just delivered a second blow, and it had the entire globe talking. Resistance groups, now coordinated through a single command, launched similar missions around the world. One by one, alien ships fell. It wasn't enough to stop the invasion yet, but it was enough to prove that humanity was no longer just a target. They were a force to be reckoned with. But the aliens, now aware of humanity's ability to adapt, began to change their strategy. Their response was swift and brutal. They started deploying smaller, more agile ships that could evade Earth's new weapons. The counterattacks grew fiercer, and Earth's resources were stretched thinner with each passing hour. Monroe knew this wasn't a victory yet. It was a start. The aliens had no idea just how dangerous this fight was about to become. This continuation maintains the fast pace and highlights humanity's resilience, innovation, and unity in the face of overwhelming odds. The success in reverse engineering alien technology shows that humans are adapting, and the tension rises as the stakes grow higher. The aliens begin to adjust their strategy, setting the stage for a more intense conflict ahead. As the battle raged on, Captain Monroe's team had grown increasingly desperate. Despite their best efforts, the aliens were learning faster than humanity could adapt. The resistance had become a coordinated effort, but Earth's resources were limited, and the enemy's fleets continued to outmatch them in strength and numbers. Still, Monroe refused to accept defeat. The fight had to go on, but the cost of each loss was beginning to take its toll. Then something unexpected happened. A transmission came through, one that was encrypted and directed specifically to Monroe. The voice on the other end was strained, yet determined. "Captain Monroe, you do not know me, but I know you. My name is Varen, and I am from the Zithar clan of the Veltrax species. I wish to offer you an alliance between your people and mine." Monroe blinked in disbelief, unsure if he was hearing correctly. The Zithar were one of the most respected races within the Galactic Council, and they were also among the invaders. The Veltrax species had led many of the charges against Earth, but the voice on the other end continued, urging Monroe to listen. "We've been watching Earth for years, Captain," Varen continued. "I'm one of the many who disagree with the Council's decision. The slaughter of your species is wrong. We may have been sent to destroy you, but I believe there is another way. My people have technology that could help you, and I am willing to share it. I want to stop the invasion from within." Monroe felt a chill creep up his spine. A defector? It didn't seem possible, but the urgency in Varen's voice was undeniable. Still, Monroe hesitated. Could he trust this alien, or was it another trap to draw humanity into a false sense of hope? "I need proof," Monroe said, his voice firm. "If you're serious, you'll show us that you can be trusted. We can't afford to make mistakes." Varen agreed. A few hours later, a small ship arrived at a remote military base in the Andes. The ship was far smaller than the colossal warships that had been wreaking havoc across Earth, and its design was unlike anything Monroe had seen before. The hatch opened, and Varen stepped out, an alien who looked much like a humanoid figure, but with glistening silver skin and 5 sharp, glowing eyes. He wasn't here to conquer. He was here to offer a way out. Varen handed Monroe the data drive containing the plans for a weapon unlike anything humanity had ever seen. It was a device capable of neutralizing the alien fleet's energy shields, a weapon that could even bring down the mighty flagship at the heart of the alien force. "This is real," Varen said, his voice low but certain. "My people have weapons that can disrupt your enemies, but only if you use them wisely. We've seen your potential. It is not yet too late to stop the destruction." Monroe's team analyzed the information quickly. The weapon was legitimate, and it could change everything. It was a game changer, the kind of technology that humanity had been dreaming of, but had no way of developing on their own in such a short amount of time. The question now wasn't just about what to do with the weapon. It was about trusting a species that had once been an enemy who could have easily betrayed them. Varen's offer was a risk, one that could either save Earth or condemn them to destruction. Monroe stood silently, weighing his options. Then, with a final glance at Varen, he made his decision. "We take the risk. We'll use the weapon. But know this, if you betray us—" "I won't," Varen interrupted, his tone solemn. "I'm doing this because it's right. You have my word." The uneasy alliance had been formed, and it was humanity's last hope. But Monroe knew that this fragile partnership was built on trust that could break at any moment. The war was far from over, and the stakes had just become even higher. This part introduces a twist that shifts the dynamic of the story. The defector from within the enemy ranks offers humanity the tools to fight back, but the risk of betrayal adds a layer of tension. Monroe's decision to trust Varen sets up new possibilities for victory, but the uncertainty surrounding the alliance keeps the story engaging. The uneasy alliance between humanity and Varen, the Veltrax defector, was now Earth's last hope. With the alien weapon technology in their hands, Monroe and his team had set to work on building the device that could turn the tide of war. It wasn't just the weapon itself. They also needed to find a way to deploy it effectively against the alien armada. Every day, new alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit, each one more formidable than the last. The countdown to humanity's extinction was growing shorter. Monroe stood over a holographic map of the globe, the layout of alien fleet movements flickering in front of him. It had become clear that the aliens were organizing for a final assault. There was no time left. The weapon had to be ready. Varen's team worked alongside Earth's best engineers, and despite the looming danger, there was an unspoken sense of camaraderie among them. Human ingenuity, combined with the alien technology, was creating something new. The weapon, still in its prototype phase, was nearly ready. The device would generate a pulse powerful enough to disrupt the energy shields of the alien ships, rendering them vulnerable to a direct attack. However, it needed to be delivered at close range, a dangerous proposition given the firepower of the enemy ships. Monroe knew they were running out of time. He made the decision to strike first. They would use a small, heavily modified fleet of Earth's remaining warships to sneak past the alien defenses, get close enough to one of the command ships, and fire the weapon. It was a suicide mission for all involved. If they failed, the alien fleet would have an open path to annihilate what little remained of Earth's defense. If they succeeded, they might stand a chance. "Ready the fleet," Monroe ordered. He turned to Varen. "You're coming with us." Varen nodded silently. His presence, despite his status as an ally, still caused discomfort among the humans. They didn't forget who he had been. They didn't forget that his people had once fired the first shots in this war. But now, Varen's knowledge was indispensable. He was their only guide through the alien ships and technology. The fleet was a mix of human and alien technology, with a few surprise additions. Varen had provided them with cloaking technology, a gift from the Veltrax that allowed their ships to approach the alien fleet without being detected. It was humanity's one advantage. Surprise! The fleet, consisting of a handful of stealth ships and decoy vessels, moved into position under the cover of night, hoping to take the alien forces off guard. Monroe stood at the helm of the flagship, his jaw set with determination. This wasn't just a military operation. It was a statement. Humanity would not bow to anyone. They would fight until the very last breath. As the fleet moved deeper into enemy territory, the tension was palpable. The silence in the command center was broken only by the occasional hum of machinery and the quiet mutter of commands. The alien ships hovered like dark giants above the planet, their intimidating presence both a constant threat and a reminder of how far humanity had come, from defenseless prey to a force capable of striking back. Approaching target, a voice called out from the communication station. Monroe's heart raced. This was it. They were on the brink of something monumental. The weapon, loaded and primed, was ready. All they had to do now was get within range. "Prepare for insertion," Monroe said, his voice steady. "Make sure we're locked onto their weak spot. We hit them now, or we don't hit them at all." The countdown had begun. Earth's future hung on this single moment. If the weapon worked, humanity would have a fighting chance. If it failed, the galaxy would finally have its wish. The end of humanity. This part ramps up the tension as the team prepares for a high-stakes mission. The alliance with Varen is further explored, and the sense of urgency intensifies as they make their move against the alien armada. The looming danger and Monroe's resolve add to the story's suspense, leaving readers on the edge of their seats as the mission unfolds. The stealth fleet moved through the darkness of space, its engines muted by the cloaking technology provided by Varen. The alien ships, massive and imposing, loomed overhead like silent sentinels, unaware of the human fleet creeping toward them. Monroe stood at the front of the flagship, his eyes locked on the distant silhouette of the command ship, the target of their mission. 5 minutes to target. The voice of Lieutenant Sarah Chen crackled through the communication system. Her tone was calm, but the tension in her voice was undeniable. They had made it this far, but the final step was the most dangerous. They would need to get close, within firing range, without triggering the alien ship's detection systems. If they were spotted, the mission would fail before it even began. Monroe gripped the edge of the console, his gaze never leaving the approaching alien vessel. The plan was simple: get within range, deploy the weapon, and disable the alien shields long enough to fire everything they had. A single shot from Earth's modified warships could breach the shields. But they had one shot. If they missed or failed, the entire fleet would be annihilated. Target locked. Chen's voice came through again. "We're in position." Monroe exhaled slowly. The weapon was ready. They were as close as they could get without triggering the alien sensors. He turned to Varen, who stood beside him, his usual calm demeanor showing cracks under the pressure. "Varen, you're sure about the coordinates?" Monroe asked. Varen nodded, his 5 eyes focused intently on the data flowing across the holographic screen. "Yes. The weapon will breach their shield at this frequency. You will only have one chance." Monroe nodded. "We take it." A moment of silence passed between them, thick with the weight of the decision. Then Monroe stepped forward, his voice steady but forceful as he gave the order. "Fire." The weapon, a sleek device mounted at the front of the ship, activated with a low hum. It released a concentrated pulse that shot across the distance between them and the alien command ship, a brilliant beam of energy that struck the alien shields. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a violent flash, the alien shields flickered, weakened but still intact. "Shields are destabilizing," Chen reported. "We've got a window. Target the core now." Without waiting, Monroe barked orders. All ships, full barrage. The remaining ships in the stealth fleet unleashed everything they had. Missiles, lasers, and energy blasts, firing relentlessly at the now weakened alien ship. The impact was immediate. The alien vessel shook, massive explosions rippling across its surface. For a brief, beautiful moment, it seemed like victory was within their grasp. The command ship was faltering. But just as quickly, the remaining alien fleet mobilized. The attack had triggered a full-scale response. Smaller alien ships, nimble and fast, broke away from their formations, hurtling toward Earth's fleet with terrifying speed. The advantage they had fought so hard for was evaporating in seconds. Monroe's heart raced as he watched the chaos unfold on the monitors. They had hit the alien ship hard, but now they were being overwhelmed. The alien response was swift, and the firepower they were up against was devastating. Energy blasts from the alien ships cut through space, striking Earth's warships with deadly accuracy. "Shields down. Hull breach on the port side," a voice shouted from the communications panel. Monroe's eyes flicked to the damage reports. One of their ships had already been destroyed, debris floating into the void. They had made their strike, but the battle was far from over. Earth's fleet was on the back foot now, and the alien ships were closing in fast. "Retreat? Now," Monroe shouted, but it was already too late. The fight for Earth was far from finished, and now they were in the thick of it. The first strike had been a success, but it had also drawn the aliens' full attention. And as Earth's fleet fought to survive, they had just proven one thing. The war was far from over. This part builds on the intensity of the mission, showing the immediate consequences of their strike. The weapon works as intended, but the cost of success is high, and the situation rapidly escalates into a fierce battle. The stakes are raised as Earth's fleet is forced into survival mode, highlighting the ongoing uncertainty of the war. The chaos of the battle swirled around Captain Monroe as the remains of Earth's fleet fought to hold their ground. The alien ships, far superior in number and firepower, had rapidly closed in on the remaining warships. Energy blasts tore through the vast emptiness of space, striking Earth's ships with terrifying precision. The battle, once a calculated strike, had now devolved into a frantic struggle for survival. Monroe's flagship rocked violently as an alien missile slammed into its side. The hull groaned under the pressure, but the ship held together. For now. "Damage report," Monroe shouted, gripping the console tightly. "Shields at 30%. Hull integrity at 65%. Engines still operational, but we're losing power," Lieutenant Chen replied, her voice tense. "We can't take much more of this, Captain. We need to retreat." Monroe's eyes locked onto the alien fleet. The initial strike had left a few ships vulnerable, but the rest were relentless, swarming in with no intention of letting humanity's forces escape. The enemy had adapted faster than anyone had expected. They knew humanity's tactics now and were countering them with terrifying efficiency. Then, just as Monroe began to accept that retreat might be their only option, a sudden, unexpected break in the chaos caught his attention. From the corner of the display, a series of unfamiliar ships appeared. They were sleek and fast, darting through the alien fleet with pinpoint precision, cutting down smaller alien ships with laser accuracy. Monroe leaned forward, his heart racing as he analyzed the new arrivals. They were too advanced to be human. The ships moved in tight formations, taking down alien fighters and leaving no room for retaliation. The familiar design of the Veltrax fleet became clear as the ship's advanced weaponry continued to strike. Varen's people had joined the fray. The Veltrax fleet arrived in full force, having acted on Varen's intel. While the larger alien command ships remained focused on Earth's fleet, the Veltrax fighters were causing havoc in the smaller ranks, picking off ships one by one. The tables had turned. "Varen's fleet is here," Chen exclaimed, disbelief in her voice. "They're attacking the alien forces." Monroe couldn't believe his eyes. The alien defectors had kept their word. They were fighting on Earth's side, tearing through the alien forces with the speed and efficiency of a well-organized military. Earth's warships, though battered, took advantage of the opening, pushing back against the alien ships with renewed vigor. "Prepare to engage," Monroe barked. "We're not retreating now. Push them back." Monroe's flagship fired its remaining weapons, taking out an alien destroyer with a direct hit to its power core. The remaining Earth ships, emboldened by the Veltrax reinforcements, pressed the attack, striking in tandem with the advanced Veltrax ships. The alien fleet, once poised to crush Earth's forces, now found themselves fighting on two fronts. The Veltrax ships harassed them from the rear, while Earth's warships, though diminished, fought with everything they had. The balance had shifted. For the first time since the invasion began, Earth was fighting back with real hope. However, the battle was far from won. The Veltrax forces were powerful, but their numbers were still a fraction of the invading fleet. The real test would come when the alien command ships, those colossal vessels, joined the fray. Those ships were the true power of the invaders, and their shields remained a formidable challenge. "Hold them off for as long as we can," Monroe ordered, his eyes fixed on the incoming fire from the alien flagship. "We've come too far to give up now." As the battle raged on, the combined forces of Earth and the Veltrax continued to push forward. The tides of war had shifted, but the final victory was still uncertain. Yet, in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity had proven something. They would never give up, not without a fight. This part shifts the momentum of the battle, with the arrival of Varen's Veltrax fleet giving Earth a chance to strike back. While there's still a long way to go, the combined efforts of the two forces have turned the tide, offering humanity a glimmer of hope. The pressure continues to mount as the real challenge, taking down the alien command ships, remains on the horizon. The battle had reached its crescendo. Earth's fleet, now bolstered by the unexpected arrival of Varen's Veltrax forces, had managed to inflict serious damage on the alien invaders. But the true test was just beginning. The alien command ships, massive behemoths capable of wiping out entire planets, were now coming into range. Their shields, as expected, were nearly impenetrable, and their weaponry outclassed anything Earth had at its disposal. Monroe stood at the helm of the flagship, staring at the alien command ships on the holographic display. There were only a handful of Earth warships left, and even fewer Veltrax ships still fighting. The final showdown was imminent. "Captain," Chen's voice crackled through the comms, "our fleet is barely holding together. We've taken heavy losses. We need to finish this, or we'll be wiped out." Monroe didn't need reminding. He had already seen the carnage, the wreckage of ships, the silence of fallen comrades, the desperate fight that had carried humanity this far. But the alien ships had no mercy, and Monroe was running out of options. They had one chance to end this. "Varen, are you ready?" Monroe asked, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding him. Varen's voice came through, a hint of resolve in it. "The Veltrax ships are in position. We will do what we can to hold off the command ships, but you must fire the weapon before they can react." Monroe nodded, his grip tightening on the controls. This was it. The weapon they had developed in conjunction with the Veltrax technology was their only hope. The alien shields were powerful, but with the right frequency that could be neutralized long enough to strike a fatal blow. It was a gamble, one that could go either way. "On my mark," Monroe said, looking around at the officers on his bridge. "We fire everything we have." The fleet moved into position, coordinating with the Veltrax forces. The alien command ships were closing in, But now they had to focus. Every ship, every weapon, every ounce of energy would be used to disable the alien defenses. They couldn't afford a single mistake. "Mark!" Monroe shouted, and the weapons systems fired. A concentrated blast shot out, a beam of energy so intense it pierced through the emptiness of space. The target was the lead alien command ship, the heart of the invasion force. For a moment, it seemed like the beam had no effect. The alien ship's shields held firm. But then, something unexpected happened. The shields began to flicker. The alien ship trembled as the energy pulse destabilized their defenses. The beam from Earth's fleet was working. "Now," Monroe commanded. With a final push, the remaining warships fired their full payload at the now vulnerable command ship. Explosions rocked the massive vessel, its outer hull giving way to the relentless barrage. The ship's central core began to rupture, and with a deafening roar, it exploded in a ball of fire and debris. The first of the command ships had fallen. The rest of the alien fleet hesitated, uncertain. Varen's forces pressed the advantage, launching a series of attacks on the remaining ships. The tide was turning, but the war was far from over. Monroe's breath came in short bursts. There was no time to celebrate. The alien armada was still formidable, and more ships were closing in. But now, they had a chance. The momentum had shifted. The aliens had been proven vulnerable. "We've got them on the ropes," Chen shouted, her voice full of adrenaline. Monroe looked at the destroyed remnants of the alien flagship on the view screen. It was a symbol of humanity's defiance. A symbol that no matter how overwhelming the odds, Earth would never give in. "Keep pushing," Monroe ordered. "We're not stopping until they're gone." As the final shots rang out across the battlefield, humanity stood united, resolute, and stronger than ever. The alien invaders had underestimated humanity's will to survive, and now that mistake was costing them dearly. Earth had fought back, and now it was time to finish what they had started. This part concludes the story with a climactic battle that sees humanity's determination and ingenuity lead to a critical victory. The weapon they developed, combined with the unexpected alliance with the Veltrax, creates a turning point in the war. Despite the odds, humanity's resilience shines through, marking the final stand that could change the course of the invasion.